Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. So this is now the fourth time that I've started this video because first time someone outside started cutting their grass, then someone messaged me, and then I realised my camera didn't have enough storage. So now I'm filming on my iPhone, which is kind of useful for me anyway because it makes it easier to like transfer across the files and like the quality's fine. But anyway, that literally does not matter right now. You may have noticed that I've taken a couple of weeks off posting on YouTube because it's kind of for two reasons, but the main one is that I have been learning and educating myself on Black Lives Matter and racism in the UK and America and just in general. I did already know some stuff before all of the recent events because I did sociology at school and college, and I do a criminology degree now, so that kind of means that I've learned some stuff, but of like how people can be treated differently to do with race and like racial inequalities within education and everything, but I definitely think over the last couple of weeks I've learned so much more about like just racism in general and like how it sort of got to where it is today, if that makes sense. And I, for years now, have been wanting to incorporate into my channel sort of a thing where I talk about more serious topics, and so I decided that I would make a video, and I really didn't want to come back just with a random video like with me doing my scrapbook or anything. I wanted to come back and talk to you and tell you about ways that you can learn as well. And I'm sure you all have seen posts like this telling you what to read and what to watch, but I personally think right now that is the most useful thing for me to come on here and say, because I'm not like able to teach you about it. So I think the best thing would be for me to do is to point you in the direction of resources and Instagram accounts and films and everything that will be useful. So I'm going to talk you through some books, some films, some Instagram accounts, and also point you towards some different petitions and donation schemes. Of course you don't have to donate or anything, just if you would be interested. I'm going to put a couple down below that I personally think are really important. Firstly, I just want to recap what happened so that like I'm sure everyone knows, but there could be someone watching this video who doesn't know why I'm talking about this. So racism is such a complicated and complex issue, and this isn't all it is about at all, but basically the recent protests and the recent sort of conversations that have been sparked whereas the result of the killing of George Floyd in America by some policemen. His murderers have now been arrested, thankfully, but that does not mean that like we stop talking about this. This is still an issue. There's still so many people out there who haven't got the justice they deserve, and there'll be people, it will happen to people again. So yeah, ever since that event there's been lots of protests, lots of conversations online, hopefully lots of in real life conversations as well. I know that's something I've been doing a lot of, and I think just a lot of education generally, which is long overdue. So the first thing that I'm going to talk about is documentaries and films that I have watched. So I haven't watched loads just because I have also been busy with uni work, which is the other reason why I've taken a couple of weeks off. But the ones I have watched, and I think documentaries and films are a really great way to sort of watch with people like your friends or your family to sort of get a conversation going, because it can be difficult to go up and someone and be like, explain to them that they could be racist or the aspects of what they're doing are racist. But if you watch a film, they might just like learn a bit more and not even realise it, sort of thing. Like, so I think definitely films are a great way to go to sort of open up the conversation with those around you. So the ones that I've watched, and Hate You Give, which I've also read the book for Hate You Give. It's by an amazing author called Angie Thomas. She's great, and it's about a boy who gets murdered by the police, and it sort of follows the journey and everything that happens after that. And it's so powerful, so raw and real and emotional, and it's just probably my favourite book and my favourite film, to be honest. And I definitely think it's a really great one to start on, to like sort of open your eyes to what happens, because it's just, yeah, it's really good. And she also Angie Thomas also has other books that she's written called On the Come Up, and she has another one coming out in January 2021. And On the Come Up is based in the same area as The Hate You Give, and also deals with sort of racial issues. So if you enjoy The Hate You Give, I definitely recommend checking out On the Come Up as well. The next one is called An American Son, which is on Netflix, and this film we didn't really know what it was about. My mum heard about it on a podcast and she decided she wanted to watch it, so we watched it. And it's basically about a boy who goes missing. He is mixed race, and his mum is black and his dad is white, and the whole film takes place in one room at the police station, and it's basically about sort of how they get treated by the police and how they treat the mum and the dad differently. And it was really effective. It was really good. I loved how it was set in one room as well. I thought that was really effective. It was kind of like a play. Although actually I think I heard someone say on a podcast or something that it is based on a play. So yeah, that's on Netflix, so if you want to check that out, I'll leave all of them linked down below. And then the other one I've watched is called 13th. 13th is more of a documentary. It sort of explains racism throughout history in America, going through all the different presidents, all the different laws, and especially with a focus on sort of mass incarceration of black men. And this one is probably the one that I learned the most from. So if you really want to learn, especially about America, stuff in America, then I think that one's a really good way to go, and that is also on Netflix. So the next section, the next sort of thing I'm going to talk about is books that I have read / am reading, and I should have put them there the whole time because they make a good background for this video. But so the first one is The Hate You Give, the book. It is quite thick, but it's really good, and I literally could not put it down when I read it. I think I read this one about 2 years ago, and as you can see, it's like really well loved because everyone in my family has read it and they all really enjoyed it. And on the back it says an essential read for everyone, and I just think that is so true. If you haven't read this book yet, read it. It's amazing. Next one is called White Fragility, Why It's So Hard for White People to Talk About Race by Robin DiAngelo. I've only just started this one. I've only got to about here, but it's really, really good so far and really interesting as to why it can be really uncomfortable for us as white people to talk about race, and especially for, like, I know sometimes if I bring up the topic to people who I know, they can struggle to talk about it, so I think it's a really helpful book to understand that if you're someone who wants to talk about it more in their everyday life. So yeah, I haven't read this one fully yet, but I'm halfway through it. Well, not halfway through it, I'm like a bit of a way through it, and I'm really enjoying it. And then this one, I'm sure a lot of people will have heard about this one. It's called Why I'm No Longer Talking to White People About Race by Rennie Edo-Lodge. And this book I read probably about 2 years ago now, on holiday. I'd seen loads of people talking about it on Instagram, and it really highlights racism in the UK, which is something that is really important and not spoken about enough. I think some people are really naive and they think that it is only an American problem when it is very much a problem here. And this book really opened up my eyes to the racism that happens around me in my everyday life. My sister's reading it at a moment, but I'm actually going to read it again after her because I just want to read it again and maybe take it in better, because I did read it 2 years ago and I just think it'd be good to read it again. And this is a great one to recommend to people, I think, especially this one and The Hate You Give, because this one is so British based and The Hate You Give is just a really good story. And then the last one is one I'm only just beginning because I was waiting to get it from Amazon. I've seen some stuff about this one before the recent conversations, but I think it only recently came out or something. And it's called Me and White Supremacy by Layla F. Sard, and it says how to recognise your privilege, combat racism and change the world. And it is essentially a 28-day sort of journaling book to understand your privilege. So I've done day 1 and day 2, I think. Have I done day 2? I'm not sure. But I need to make sure that I get it into my daily routine, so I just do it every day. But I think this is a really good activity to actually get your brain really thinking about the privilege that you have in every section of your life as a white person. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to working through this, and I'm really hoping that it opens my eyes up more. So I definitely recommend this. So the next thing I want to talk about is 5 donation funds. And of course you don't have to donate at all if you can. Just learning and reading and signing petitions is great and is enough. But I just wanted to include these in case you were interested in donating. The first one I want to talk about is the George Floyd Fund. So it's just a memorial fund for George Floyd, obviously, seeing as he is the one that sort of sparked this wave of protests and conversation, it is really important to support his family through the tragedy that they are going through. And then in relation to that one that just sort of broke my heart is the Gianna Floyd Fund. Gianna is George Floyd's 6-year-old daughter, and there's a fund for her that's been set up just to support her through life now that she hasn't got her dad around anymore. And I'm going to insert the video here that I saw on Twitter of Gianna at a protest saying that her dad changed the world. And
he did what?
Dad changed the world.
Daddy changed the world.
And I really hope that that's true and that these protests and conversations are going to really make a difference. So I'm going to link the Gianna Floyd Fund down below, and I'm also going to be donating to that one later because I haven't actually donated that one myself yet. And then there's also just Black Lives Matter as a fund of its own. If you go on their website, which will be linked down below, they have a donation thing. And that's the one that I've donated to so far. And there's also one on GoFundMe for Breonna Taylor, who's another person who was a victim of police brutality and whose murderers have not yet been convicted. So I will link all of those down below in the description box, and if you can, please check them out and please donate. I'm sure it will be really helpful to the families and friends of the victims and just everyone in general with the Black Lives Matter one. And then I also am going to link down below petitions that still need to reach their goals, because there are quite a few, and especially stuff to do with Breonna Taylor. So that'll be all below. Please check it out. So that is super important. So the next thing I want to talk about is Instagram accounts. So I have a few that I've been following for quite a long time now. First one is Candice Braithwaite. She's also had a book come out recently called I'm Not Your Baby Mother, which is about what it's like to be a Black British mother, which I'm going to be ordering as soon as I've got through some of the books that I'm reading at the moment. And she is sort of like a beauty, fashion, mum, blogger person, but she also talks about racism, and she's black, and I've been following her for about 2 years now. I absolutely love her content. She's so lovely. But she's definitely a great one to follow. There's also Rachel.Cargill. Actually, I'm just going to check that one. So her Instagram handle is at Rachel.Cargill, and she will also be linked down below, as will all of these Instagram accounts. And she is just really great. I've learned a lot from looking at her posts and her stories, and I've seen a lot of people sharing her stuff recently. I think I've been following her for a few years now as well, but yeah, she's great, and I've learned a lot from following her. And then another one is Vcatifu. She is a study tuber, and she's just graduated from Oxford, but she has talked recently about racism on her channel and on her Instagram, and I've learned a lot from her. And also she's just really inspirational that she's managed to come graduate from Oxford, and she's going to Harvard next year, so that's really amazing. Another one is the author of this book, and that is at Layla F. Sard. She just posts educational posts and talks about experiences and stuff, and it's a great one to follow. And then the other one is at No White Saviours, which for some reason I don't see their posts that often, but I've been following them for a while. But I just know that they're a really useful account as well. And the last thing I want to say, and this is not me saying like, look at me, I went to a protest. I just wanted to say that I went to a protest in my town, and there was such a good turnout, and social distancing was like fully enforced. And the reason I wanted to mention it is because I know going to a protest can be scary, but I definitely think if you think it's safe to do so, and you feel safe going, and you're old enough, and like your parents are all right with it and stuff, go to a protest when you can. Like, it doesn't have to be now, and it doesn't have to be for this, but just like, they're not as scary as you might think they are, and they're like, it's lovely to see people coming together to protest what they believe in. So yeah, I'm going to insert some pictures and videos from the protest that I went to after, like, right now at the end of this video. Violence! Violence! Pretty much everything I have to say for now about this topic. Like I said at the beginning of the video, I am hoping to bring stuff like this into my channel more and more, so I hope that this video was useful, and that you will go and watch some of the stuff or read some of the stuff, and definitely sign the petitions. The petitions and the donation funds will be all in the description box at the top, before all my links and stuff. So please go down below and just sign all of the petitions if you haven't signed them already, and if you can, donate. But of course, not everyone's in a position to do that. Signing petitions is like amazing. So yeah, thank you for watching my video, and I'll be back soon with more regular content, but entwining this stuff in. And I have my last assignment due in on Friday, so I think it's Friday anyway. So YouTube will be at the forefront of my mind from now on. So hopefully the content will be better, and I will make sure that I carry on being regular, or maybe even uploading more. But yeah, thank you for watching. I really hope you learn something, or will learn something from the stuff that I recommended, and see you all soon. Bye!